What's up, my people? Another Caneta video coming to you. Today, the title of the video is Flamengo's great first half, concerning second half. We'll see after the intro. What's up, guys? Today is August 15th, and we're going to talk about the Libertadores Round of 16 match that happened a couple of days ago, a little bit late to it. Got lots of work to do. So this is the first I'm getting to record a video about it. But that match was played at the iconic Maracanã Stadium, Flamengo versus Inter. And good game. Very good game. Flamengo started Rossi in goal. Emerson Royal at right back. The usual center back pairing of Leo Ortiz and Leo Pereira. Alexandru on the left side. And then Alan and Jorginho both holding. Luis Araújo wide on the right. Plata as an attacking midfielder. More of like a false nine anyway. And Lino on the left wing. Then up top we had Bruno Henrique instead of Pedro, which I thought Pedro was going to start, but by having Bruno Henrique up top is we can see that Felipe Luis was, looking to press hard and have a lot of mobility up front, especially with Arrascaeta's absence due to a yellow card accumulation. So this meant that they were going to rely on speed and mobility instead of a more cadenced and thoughtful game, right? Boy, that first half was as dominant as we've seen from this team in quite a while. Inter barely touched the ball. Flamengo had 73% possession, 8 shots to 1. So it was a very one-sided first half, lots of volume. The crowd was singing, backing the team the entire time. And the goal came in the 28th minute. Now, how was that goal achieved or accomplished, right? So the idea was to have Emerson Royal push up and wide at right back. And that was going to mean that Alexandru as a left back was going to tuck in to attract one of Inter's holding mids, Tabata, to mark him, right? That would leave Samulino open wide on the left. So the idea was attack on the right side, attract Inter's defense to one side, then make that switch to Samulino, who would then be isolated and have, one-on-ones. That guy is ridiculous at one-on-ones, is proving that. Unfortunately, he couldn't show that at Atletico Madrid because I just think Simeone didn't really play him to his strengths, if I'm being honest. But Felipe Luis gets it. So isolating that guy on the left, great at one-on-ones. The problem was that the team was trying to do that and it wasn't working, right? They played plenty of times down the right flank. Problem is Emerson Royal picked up an ankle injury in the very first minute. So that meant he wasn't able to move well. He couldn't change directions and he couldn't really sprint so well. So he looked heavy. He looked slower. And so there wasn't enough time to then switch the play to Samulino because by then he was already marked, right? Now, they still tried. So what they did, and this is what happened in the 20th minute or close to the 20th minute, is they played down the right, but then they went back. They played the ball back to Leo Ortiz, who is, our number 10 at center back. We'll put it this way. I say we, I'm a Flamengo fan. So from sort of the halfway line, I think, he pings a diagonal, like a beautiful diagonal, like inch perfect, over the jumping defender's head, lands right at Samulino's feet, who then he's able to dribble and threaten to get into the box, but then he attracts 3 players. What he does then, he stops, fakes to cut inside, actually pretends to make a pass infield, cuts it back outside, slips all 3 of them, dribbles the ball into the box, And then he sees Bruno Henrique making the run. He slips a through ball to Bruno Henrique, who then has a shot deflected, goes out for a corner, right? So then who else to take that corner but Luis Araújo, the Gavia's David Beckham, as we've been calling him now, because this guy just is unstoppable at set pieces, apparently, except, direct free kicks. But if it's, dead ball situations where he's going to cross to someone, that guy's got a lot of quality, and he proved it again. He dropped one right on Bruno Henrique's head, who headed in a beautiful goal. Now, on Bruno Henrique, this is his 15th goal in the Libertadores knockout stage. He's now third in the all-time, knockout stage goal scoring list. First is Riquelme with 16. Gabigol is in second, and now actually Riquelme has 17, Gabigol 16, and Bruno Henrique now has 15. So right behind those guys, with more games to come, it's possible that he can even jump ahead of those guys this season. So that would be great to see. But after the goal, Flamengo became even more dominant, but just couldn't get a second. And so the half ended, right? After the break, Varela came in at right back for Emerson Royal, who sections of the crowd was, booing Emerson Royal by the end of the half, which I just can't get behind. The guy, you could tell the guy was injured. He was visibly limping from the first minute, soldiered on, and booing a guy like that just doesn't make sense to me. Got to give the guy a break. Anyway, second half was a different story. Inter's coach, Roger Machado, made really good adjustments, got the team to press high. And on the other hand, Flamengo, who usually is able to play around that high press, was making a lot of technical mistakes. They knew Inter would be aggressive, right? Because they want to kind of try to come back on the score. They don't want to go a goal down into the second leg. So the idea was, all right, let them attack. We'll play out, but we'll be a lot more vertical than the first half. Instead of constructing a play, just be more vertical, go straight, catch them in transition. But the execution was poor. Gave the ball away plenty of times and kept insisting on it, trying to catch them in transition. Instead of, after a little bit, realizing, okay, we're making a lot of mistakes. Let's settle down a bit, wait for the team to structure itself, and then play it out. But no, it was this chaotic back and forth. It was like a crazy frenetic pace. Not gonna lie, it was tense to watch that. And I think that's when somebody like, Arrascaeta, maybe Saul and De La Cruz even, can help think the game a little better, right? Jorginho was usually really good at that, but even he made like a weird pass that just gave the ball away. And that frenetic pace of transition back and forth went on for about 20 minutes. And I gotta tell you, it was tense. Felipe Luis decided to make some changes. He was noticing some players were leggy. So he brought in Everton Cebolinha for Samulino on the left side. And Jorge Carrascal made his debut, coming in for Plata. I thought Pedro would have been helpful in this situation, especially to help the team escape the press by going long. Either way, it still kind of worked because it brought more stability into the game and settled things down a bit. And so in the 83rd minute, that's when Bruno Henrique left the pitch with the crowd chanting his name. And Pedro did come on and showed his usual class with his back to goal. I gotta say, even though it wasn't, the second half was okay, it wasn't a great game by all means. And even by the guys that came in, Carrascal looked pretty good, even though he didn't, kind of got lost a little bit in his positioning, but you could see he was trying to get the game going. You could see he's a very associative player, but like Pedro though, his ability to just play with his back to goal and just pluck any ball out of the air with, protecting, and his back to goal just brings it down with like such class, and like just his technique is so refined. I can't see another number 9 in the world with that ability. Like, please find somebody that can do that. And if you don't know that Pedro can do that, like, you need to watch this guy, because it's just ridiculous, so silky. But yeah, I digress. So both teams, tried, but couldn't change the score, and the game ended with Flamengo going to the second leg on the 20th, a goal up. But before both teams will play yet again, and this time is going to be for the Brasileirão on Sunday. And so that's another set of 3 games in a row against the same team for Flamengo, which, I think it's good. It's for Flamengo, at least, because it becomes sort of a battle of attrition, right? It's technically it should be who has the strongest squad really would prevail, right? Because of fatigue and things like that. So Flamengo should be able to prevail in this. But Inter is a strong, solid team. They may not be prioritizing the Brasileirão, so they might be really strong in the Libertadores, or, we'll see how they do it, right? But yeah, overall, really, really good game. Can't really fault the team too much. When you look at it, Flamengo had a total of 66% possession in the end. 0.80 expected goals to 0.9 for Inter. 2 big chances for Flamengo. 10 shots to 5. Not bad at all. 4 shots on target for 2. Inter had 2. And let's see. 6 shots in the box for Flamengo against 3 for Inter. And 1 big chance created for one big chance scored for Flamengo, 1 big chance missed. 25 touches in the opposition box versus 10 for Inter. Passing wise was 559 accurate passes for Flamengo versus 238. 68 final third entries for Flamengo against 62 for Inter. When it comes to goalkeeping, 2 saves for Rossi, 3 saves for Rocher. 2 big saves for Rocher and 0 for Rossi. So, that shows how much, Flamengo was not in danger, which brings me to this next thing. A lot of fans were moaning yet again about another terrible second half by the team. And I'll be honest, watching the game, it did feel like there was a huge drop off from the first half. But there are some reasons for it. Well, first of all, credit to Roger Machado, who's a very smart coach. So he's not going to sit there and just send his team back out playing the same way that they play in the first, right? So he did some adjustments, got them to press high, which then made it more difficult for Flamengo. Second is optics, because if the team was so dominant in the first half, any change or drop off in the second half will be very obvious, especially if you're watching as a fan with emotion and not as an analyst, which speaks to, the tension I felt. I didn't have my, I can't watch Flamengo games. I can't watch as an analyst. I have to go back and watch it again when things calm down. Like, I get too into it, right? It's hard for me to do it. But, yeah, so Inter, really only managed a header on goal in the 58th minute. And that was a comfortable save for Rossi. And the only other shot on goal came at the very end with Vitinho. And that was a decent shot, but still kind of a comfortable save. And that was in the 92nd minute. And so if you look at the second half, Flamengo ended with 59% possession. So it really wasn't that bad. The team managed to create a couple of chances and just couldn't convert it. But there's like a narrative that this team is really bad in the second half of matches. They managed to score one, and then, the feeling or the people complaining, it's as if the team just dies in the second half. And the claims are, it's like, oh, this team lacks fitness, or, but just more naturally, because they're so relentless in pressing and moving that there's no way to not get tired. So I don't think it's necessarily a lack of fitness. Very few teams press like Flamengo does. And I would say that it's also down to the usual conditions, right? So the calendar, travel, and most importantly, lots of injured players. You can't rotate. So you got Danilo, you got De La Cruz, you got Pulgar all out. And then all the new players aren't fit enough yet or haven't adapted to the system. And then up front, it's kind of difficult to rotate because Michael and Cebolinha just can't. They can't do the job. Like Cebolinha even managed to score against Atletico Mineiro, a week ago. But he just hasn't been good enough. Pedro's still getting used to pressing like this, right? I do think he will come good. That guy, we need to stick with that guy. When his body adapts, trust me, he'll start scoring again. Right now, he's doing an okay job pressing. He's dropping deep to receive, circulate the ball, but he just doesn't seem to have the legs to go back into the penalty area to get in a scoring position after coming back and initiating or participating in the game, right? To where he can be in a goal scoring position. It's just a matter of fitness. But back to like the bad second halves, the team scored, like if you look at the numbers, this team managed to score 79 goals total this season, right? That's not counting the Carioca when we played with the under 20s. And so in the first half, this team managed to score a total of 30 goals and then 49 in the second half. So again, we have the optics telling us one thing, but then we've got the numbers telling us that the team is almost twice as effective in the second half. So, what is it? Like, I do agree that they look to be performing better in the first half, but then we have the numbers that say otherwise, right? Like, the team is scoring more goals in the second half. Now, the concern is a lack of more than one goal differential, especially after the Club World Cup, right? The team is struggling to win by more than one. But then again, there's a pretty good reason for that, or reasons. This is probably the biggest thing for me is if you look at the midfield, it's completely different than it was after the Club World Cup. So you got Gerson, who was the most consistent performer on a team. He left. Again, Pulgar is out, who not only is good at recovering possession, but it has great passing ability. Then De La Cruz is out, who's very energetic, and his ability to control tempo and, again, his passing skills are really, really, really good. Also out. And that's the entire midfield line, right? Arrascaeta was out in this game, but that's basically the entire midfield. So then we have Wesley, who's gone too. He was a massive, massive force going forward, who's also gone. It's hard to maintain that level of performance with the entire midfield plus a right back changing, right? Emerson Royal, again, he's not up to fitness. Varela is not the most attacking fullback, so you're gonna have some trouble creating goal scoring chances. Um, I say give it maybe a month for these new signings to adapt, and I'll guarantee this team will be scoring more goals again. Um, so yeah, that's it for me today. And yeah, good game. Looking forward to the second leg and this game again coming up on Sunday as well against Inter. Should be a good one. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Until then.